Hello viewers, welcome to our programs. We are privileged today to have our guest, Honorable Martha Karua, who has declared her presidency candidacy for Kenya. She's going to be the 2012 candidate for NAC Kenya ticket. Today we will speak to her and she will tell us what is it that she has that Kenyans would like to see. So welcome to the program.
Thank you.
First and foremost, briefly tell us about your political history so as people can understand where you're coming from.
Before joining politics in 1992, I was and have been a pro-democracy activist and a human rights activist. And I was a leader of an NGO that was championing women's participation in politics. That is the League of Kenya Women Voters, also an official of the Federation of Kenya Women Lawyers championing women's rights, and a member of various other bodies dealing with human rights, including the local chapter of the International Commission of Jurists. My first 10 years in politics were in the opposition benches. During the Moi era, we managed to spearhead reforms, notable among them the Inter-Parties Parliamentary Group reforms, commonly known as IPPG reforms, in 1997, that brought in certain constitutional amendments that allowed equality under the law, irrespective of gender, and also widening democratic space by repealing several laws that were curtailing freedom of association, where political parties and other social forums could not be held without authorization from the local administration, the chiefs, and the police, and reducing it to mere notification, where you notify the local police station, not so that they authorize you. We recognized that it is people's right to associate and to meet. You only notify them so that if there was a prior notification for the same venue, same day, they are able to direct you to avoid people clashing at the same venue on the same date. These are the reforms that have stood Kenyans in good stead because they widened democratic space for political competition. For 6.5 years I've been in government. The first Kibaki term, the first 3 years I was Minister for Water, moving the water sector reforms, and they were very successful. They are still ongoing. Then immediately after the failed constitutional referendum in 2005 December, I was appointed Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. At a time, the government was almost crumbling on allegations of corruption and the impact of the failed referendum. I was also appointed Deputy Leader of Government Business in Parliament. I was able to steer the ministry to help bring in new ethics by getting ministers touched by scandals to resign pending investigations, and also being able to contribute by steadying the government in Parliament, because we had a hung Parliament after members of government in the Orange Democratic Movement were dropped after the referendum. After re-election, I was reappointed to the ministry. I was lead negotiator for President Kibaki's team in the Kofi Annan negotiations. And during the crisis, I also espoused the government's policy on upholding the rule of law during that chaotic period and thereafter.
So basically what you're telling me is that you have worked really well to build the political system in Kenya the way it is today. And you're also a very positive-minded person. So last time we also talked to you, you had very wonderful things to say about the government in power at that particular time. Yeah. So what has changed?
What has changed is the commitment of the government that I served. During the first Kibaki term, there was a real effort to transform the country for the better. And I would put our collective efforts together to 40%. Not everything was perfect, but the 40% transformed into tangible results for Kenyans. Even the poverty index dropped from 56% to 46% during that period. The economy improved from negative to almost 7%. You could see infrastructure begin to come alive. We were having a real positive impact on the lives of Kenyans. Free education and many other things. Not everything was perfect, but there was a real effort and commitment from the government in fighting corruption. After the re-election, I have noticed with dismay the about turn by the government, the complete abandonment of the fight against corruption as relates to official corruption within government. And when I say government, I mean the entire government, because it's a grand coalition. And I want to say that in the grand coalition government, they may disagree about positions, about sharing the booty, but they seem united in not acting against corruption, remembering that both the Prime Minister and the President each holds the right to hire and fire of members of the cabinet coming from their parties under the 50-50 deal. I saw how they handled the maize scandal, where a minister from ODM is steering the Ministry of Agriculture, how they handled the oil scandal, where the minister from the PNU side is holding the docket. And I would say they are united in their reluctance not only to fight corruption but to push the reform agenda. I saw their lukewarm or no support to the tribunal bill, which would have brought accountability of the people suspected of being perpetrators of the post-election violence. So the government, as it is constituted, undermines the rule of law, has abandoned the fight against corruption, has abandoned even the reforms that were agreed upon in Serena. I did, as Minister for Justice, spearhead to the best of my ability legislation to bring about reforms, and as I left, the constitutional review was underway, having brought successfully to Parliament the bill to reintroduce review of the Constitution, the constitutional amendment that abolished the Electoral Commission completely, all its employees, all the commissioners, and that has seen us establish an independent interim Electoral Commission that is now dealing with a complete building up of the voter register and also working on the review of the electoral laws so that we never again go from where we went last time. We also passed the bill for the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission, which will enable Kenyans to dialogue with one another, say what is up their chest, what has made us have such terrible negative ethnicity. It may not bring all the cures, but it will provide a forum for us to exhale, as it were.
I'm glad you said that, because I was worried and wanted to ask you, after the euphoria of 2007 elections, and we also saw the damage that that election caused to the country, and a lot of people are now left wondering, who are they going to trust? Because they really did trust the leaders they were choosing at that particular time. What is ANAC Kenya, through your leadership, going to offer to these people who are already very, very low, the lowest of their lives at the moment? What are you offering those people?